December 30th, 2021. Epic Games offered the recent Tomb Raider trilogy as its Game of the Week. Based on the severe lag that day, I'm guessing it was pretty popular. I just finished Rise of the Tomb Raider, having finished Tomb Raider years ago. Rise feels exactly like his predecessor, in that, well, it's kind of bad. You know, IMO. Yeah, I know, a lot of people like him. But here are 10 specific reasons I don't like Rise of the Tomb Raider. Strike 1. Rise of the Tomb Raider is too Metroidvania-like. All games do this to a degree, but there are barriers everywhere in Rise. This one requires a rope arrow, but I don't have that yet. This barrier requires fire. This one opens for explosions, but I can't make those yet. But don't worry, I can always fast travel back later for this one barrier. Listen to DSP Gaming struggle to solve a puzzle.
Alright, so I just spent about 20 minutes trying to figure this out. I give up. I know the final bell's up there. I don't know what to do. Let's just go to the waypoint and see what happens. Huh. That's where I wanted to go before and I couldn't figure it out. Let me guess, now there'll be a way to go up there. Are you kidding me? Look! Look what just appeared. This wasn't here before. So all that time I spent trying to figure this out. Unbelievable that the game completely f***ed me over and made me waste all that time trying to figure it out just to magically have platforms appear now. That was bullshit, and the game knows it.
It is bullcrap. I know of at least 2 tombs I never raided because I didn't have the ability to swim underwater for long periods. I picked up the diving rebreather later, but as I followed the story, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't interested in going back for some light spelunking. Unless I'm mistaken, Tomb Raider didn't introduce tombs I couldn't access. It may have returned me to areas as part of the story with new tools to access new sections, but I don't think it required me to manually fast travel to a previously unreachable area. Strike 2. No manual crouch. Most games with a stealth element, like Tomb Raider has, provide the player with a crouch. I don't need to explain why, right? If your game has stealth elements, there's a crouch key. Tomb Raider is the only game I've played that needs to take over crouch control. Lara crouches automatically when the game thinks she should. 1. Did you not trust me to do that myself? And 2. There were a number of times I thought Lara should have crouched, and she didn't. Unfortunately, I'm accustomed to hitting crouch from like every other game I've ever played. And when I attempted it, out of habit, I get this scamper movement, which is not that useful even where it's intended in melee combat, and often expose me unintentionally.
I think we're planning a big...
Yeah, I know, get good. Don't blame the game if I can't learn the controls. Fair. But Snake, Aloy, Cassandra, Amanda, Adam, Konoko, Emily, and hundreds of others didn't feel the need to reinvent crouch. Strike 3. Always shoots over the right shoulder. Third-person shooters often need to switch to the other shoulder when shooting from behind cover. Look at Snake. Left shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder. Rise has a key for that too, but it switches back to her right shoulder every time Lara lowers her gun. If I want to shoot over her left shoulder, I have to hit the shoulder switch key every time I lift the gun because it resets every time. Strike 4. QuickTime events. The game. Rise of the Tomb Raider was actually better about QTE than the first game, but there's still enough of it there to make this list. Right at the beginning of the game, this happens. It tells me I need to grab, but the key to do it is down here. What the heck? Who designed this? Was it too much work to put the prompt and the necessary key in the same place? But remind you, this is the very beginning of the game, so it's not like I'm supposed to know this stuff already. So many times. Quick, hit the key! Hit the key! Better luck next time. The first 10 minutes of the game was this. And what do you know? In the final boss battle? Damn it! No one is lame for missing this. And you're not even impressive if you get it. There's no win with QTE. Related to QTE, I'll include what I'm calling Corridor Run, where the game decides it's time to collapse the scene around Lara, and now it's time to run, weave, and jump as the floor and ceiling crash down around her. Not clever. Not interesting. Not fun. And frequently took 2 or 3 attempts to finish. I mean, if I'm gonna screw up in a game, make it my fault. Not some stupid gauntlet I'll figure out after I know where all the pitfalls are. Strike 5. Ambushes. Despite having some stealth mechanics, I'd say the majority of enemy encounters are ambushes. So many ambushes. I will be exploring, carefully, when all of a sudden a cutscene is triggered, and when it's finished, a million guys, spirits, wolves, whatever, will be all Leroy Jenkins on me. And now it's time to survive the dog pile. No wonder there are so many upgrade options for turning Lara into a bullet sponge. Strike 6. Bad UI. Have I mentioned there's no manual crouch? I have? Fine. Let's talk about mouse controls. Pick a game. Any third-person shooter where you can holster your weapon. How do you draw it? Right click, right? How do you shoot? Left click while holding the right. How do you melee attack? Left click without holding the right? It's like every game. It's as fundamental as WASD. But not Lara. No, I have to use the keyboard for melee attacks. So what does the left click do? It crafts arrows. That's what the left click does. And I can't remap them because I need that left click to fire. The fire button and the craft button are linked. Maybe if you had a complex melee system, additional keys might be necessary. But guess who doesn't have a complicated melee system? Why is the most fundamental button in a combat game relegated to crafting? I think the gold standard for on-the-fly crafting was set by Horizon Zero Dawn, and what Guerrilla came up with is so genius, every game with ammo crafting should be aping it. I can't expect Tomb Raider to beat Guerrilla to that level of genius 2 years before Horizon. But they could have just had a crafting menu.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me now.
Oh wait, they do. Here it is. Just craft ammo from here. Except, it's stuck behind a campfire wall. So crafting ammo, which I can do in the field, can only be crafted from a menu when I'm sitting at a campfire. What do I say to that? Genius? Whatever. So I've accepted that I have to use left mouse to craft arrows. If I draw back, I see I currently have 33 normal arrows, 5 poison arrows, 17 fire arrows, and 2 explosive arrows. But what's my maximum? To see that, I have to start crafting arrows. 35 is my max. But I have to stop before I fill the bar if I don't actually want to craft. Crafting an arrow will cost me 1 feather and 2 wood. Okay. Oh wait, that crafted 7 arrows. Not good if I'm only 2 under my max. That's a waste of resources. What if I craft explosive arrows? Ingredients are 2 arrows, 1 napkin set, and 4 bars of exploding ore. I have 2, 7 is my max, and that created 3 explosive arrows. All this info could just be included in a crafting menu. And free up my left mouse button to melee attack, damn it! In shooters, alternate fire is simple. It's the right mouse button. But in a game where the right mouse is used to raise the gun, another method is needed. I could refer to other games, but why bother? A perfect solution is already built into Tomb Raider. Toggle through alternate ammo by spamming 1 for different arrow types. Easy. Except no. I'm toggling through the secondary fires. Primary fire is always basic arrows. So I have to select the alternate ammo type I want and then draw back on the bow. Not with the left mouse button, but with the middle mouse button, because the middle mouse button is the alternate fire for all weapons. We couldn't just select an ammo type and just use it, like all other games. It gets worse. Campfires are where all the leveling up points are spent, and where weapons and satchels are upgraded. Look at this mess. I've got 7 bows, and I can't even see them all without needing to scroll. 7 pistols. Gotta scroll. 4 rifles, 3 shotguns, and 1 climbing axe. It gets worse. To upgrade the shotgun, I have to enter another screen dedicated to that weapon. To modify a different shotgun, I have to exit out, equip a different gun, then enter its modding menu. What's weird is that this part up here stays visible throughout. So I can jump to each of my equipped guns while my unequipped options remain hidden. Consider, I have limited resources to upgrade weapons, so choices have to be made, making this multi-screen slideshow more than a chore. It's a hindrance. Just put it all in one place. Same problem with the skill trees. take a lesson from Horizon Zero Dawn or Deus Ex, and just put it all on one screen.
I never asked for this.
Strike 7. Too much gathering. Gathering is not unique to Tomb Raider. It's one thing to scatter a gaming world with resources like trees, crates, and ore. It's another to make finding all the journals, language lessons, and relics part of the leveling requirements. There are caves and offshoots with no value but to pick up a thing for points. It's a slog. I'm not even talking about the puzzle tombs. Collectibles need to be fun to get or easy to get, and if skipping them means fewer progress points, then you've created a reward/punishment system for looting and grinding. It's Tomb Raider, not Grindy McGrind Hoarder. Strike 8. The logic in the game is game logic. Games spend millions to achieve realism with sound, visuals, and immersion. But many of Tomb Raider's puzzle tombs can't be solved using real-world logic. The game has to first handicap Lara, then throw her into a world of alternate physics, leaving me not to solve the mystery of the tomb, but to try to reverse engineer the developer's thinking process. Example. In this puzzle here, this cage has to be lifted. But first, this anchor must be broken. So Lara has an axe to break the anchor. Has the ability to swim. Has the ability to stay underwater indefinitely thanks to the rebreather upgrade. The handicap? She can't submerge 2 meters to reach the anchor. So I have to figure out how to empty the reservoir. It's done by pulling these 2 levers. Except the first 2 times I tried them, I was on the stairs, where I couldn't see the water drop while at the same time the room filled up with toxic gas. So now I'm stumped. I've filled the room with gas twice, have not noticed the water dropping while I'm trying to keep Lara from being poisoned. And when I do discover the empty reservoir, I also learn that the toxic gas has politely chosen to stay out of it, and out at the top of the room. This puzzle only works in a fantasy world where a swimmer who can hold her breath indefinitely can't dive 2 meters, and toxic gas filling a room has an invisible ceiling and floor. Some gases are lighter than air, and some are heavier than air, but it takes some imagination to conceptualize a gas that's both. And it's frustrating to expect I'd see the water dropping while my attention is being hijacked by this bright green gas that's currently choking Lara. I'm stumped because I needed to see something you distracted me from seeing in a world where Lara can't dive 2 meters and toxic gas is choosy about what parts of the room it will explore. Strike 9. On the subject of handicaps, non-portable IEDs. Bottles and cans are scattered about in combat areas to be constructed into IEDs on the fly. Bottles become Molotov cocktails, cans become grenades. So Lara can pack her pockets with bomb-making ingredients, but she can't pocket bottles and cans, meaning she can carry them, but she'll drop them as soon as she draws a weapon. This means I mostly ignored IED making, because I had to find a designated vessel spawn point. I had to pick up the vessel. I had to construct it into an IED, and then I had to throw it. During which time, I could not use other weapons, or I'd drop the vessel. All this in the middle of a firefight. So, I don't know. Make an IED using a 4-step process, or just draw my automatic rifle and start spraying. Kind of an upstaged combat mechanic, don't you think? Why not just let Lara pocket a couple of IEDs for discretionary blasting? I used it when I could, but I struggled to find opportunities where it was a better option than just shooting. Strike 10. All the times I have to limp, wade, and creep Lara through a space. Similar to corridor running in that there's only one direction to move, many are the times Lara has to inch along a ledge, creep through a crevice, and walk with a limp in one direction. There's no left, no right, no back, no jumping, just forward. But she won't do it unless I'm pressing the forward key. Riveting gameplay. Just make it a cutscene and tell me when I can play again. Or better, skip it.
I'm sorry. I can't do that.
So here's the thing. The Tomb Raider games are bad games. Hopefully you understand that to be a subjective statement. I presented 10 points to support my position. But ultimately, if you like having to backtrack to places you've already been to just because you have new tools, if you like not having control over when your character crouches, if you like being required to hit the shoulder switch button every time you lift the gun because the game insists on resetting it, if you like QuickTime events, if you like triggering cutscenes that conclude with ambushes, if you like having to jump between multiple screens to unlock your upgrade, if you like exploring a map for relics and journals just for the points, if you like puzzles that exist within reality but don't follow reality's rules, if you like constructing IEDs in the middle of firefights, if you like holding the forward button to advance your character through tight spaces, then the Tomb Raider games aren't bad.
What did you expect?
You might even give them, I don't know, an 8 out of 10. And if that's the case, have I got a trilogy for you. So after writing all of that, I was going to take a pass on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, until I learned Eidos-Montréal took over for Crystal Dynamics to make it. Interesting. Eidos made two of my all-time favorite games. Reviews of Shadow pointed out a shift in combat to stealthier gameplay, something I love, and the ability to repel. Okay, so I dove in. There are various ways Shadow improves on Rise. There are fewer ambushes, but combat encounters feel more sparse also. The biggest improvement is in the UI. Look at this gorgeous skill tree. Hey, you fit it all on one screen. Nice. But Shadow leans in on the Metroidvania crap. And again, when I finally gained the ability to return to old places I couldn't access before, I didn't bother. This is because by the time I was about halfway through the game, I had a dark epiphany. I'm bored. If I were to break Shadow of the Tomb Raider into a pie chart, I'd say the funnest part of the game, the enemy encounters, comprises maybe 20% of the gameplay. The rest is tombs, fetch quests, climbing, cutscenes and conversations, and looking for hidden crap. It's interesting how much upgrade points are dedicated to weapons and combat when so much of the game is not that. At this point, I realized if I was going to finish this game, I'd have to streamline. From then to the end, I ignored all side quests and distractions. Now there's one thing I have to grant Shadow. Oh my gosh, is it gorgeous. Mexico observing Day of the Dead and the Peruvian jungle. If I wasn't so bored by this game, it would rival Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out 1 year before. The hidden city is immersive and feels lived in, and the jungle and the high mountains are among the most immersive game environments I've ever played in. Let me get into those vehicles and make it an open world, and there might be a game here. At some point I realized this game had a lot in common with another game I hated, Remember Me. Challenging traversal is only fun if there's player choice, but Tomb Raider's climbing sections are linear, twisty, but there's only one way to get anywhere. So when I'm climbing, and there's a lot of it, I'm not playing a game. I'm following the world's most boring adventure tutorial. It's exactly like the climbing sections in Remember Me, just without the stupid orange triangle. And the corridor runs are back. Inching through tight spaces is back. Piranhas are new, but they don't make the game better. They bite. Rappelling is cool, but it's just another tool to bridge the gaps in the linear climbing segment. It's no fun getting around. It's a slog. And if I succeed in getting around instead of falling to my death, I've only accomplished following the one path laid out for me by the developers. I remember when Skyrim was a new game and everyone was like, you see that mountain over there? You can go there if that's what you want to do. Meanwhile in Tomb Raider, I can't go anywhere the game doesn't intend for me to go. Even climbing a simple bit of wreckage. I miss you, Cassandra. I played with the combat on hard, the funnest part, exploration on normal, and tomb puzzles on easy, because I just don't like the puzzles. Shadow has a built-in spoiler for tomb puzzles, and for that, I give the game points. So, how would I fix the Tomb Raider games? Take a lesson from Horizon Zero Dawn, and make them more open. Take a lesson from Spider-Man and Sunset Overdrive, and make traversal more fun. Bring in vehicles, riverboats, helicopters, all things the game has, but the player can't use. Take a lesson from Deus Ex, and provide options for getting around. Make more of the terrain climbable. Let the player find their own path. Make the rope arrow useful in any rock fissure or tree, not just designated posts. Let me reach objectives because of my creativity. Don't force me to traverse your creativity. A really good lesson to take away from Watch Dogs 2 and 3 is to put collectibles inside hostile areas, so they're fun and challenging to get, not a slog to find. And if I need a tool to access a location, I want to know how and where to obtain it. And make it fun to get, not an item to buy at a store after I've grinded and gathered enough precious ore. But hey, if you dig these games, play on. Thanks for watching.